Some people decided to build a new, legendary Titanic ship, but strange incidents began to occur on board. The story begins in the year 1912, as the original Titanic was sinking. A young woman named Elizabeth managed to escape the sinking ship. She was continuously calling out for her fiancé, Charles, but received no answer. The ship's crew forcibly placed her into a lifeboat that was being lowered into the water. However, the cable holding the boat suddenly snapped, causing the boat to capsize upon hitting the water. Everyone was thrown into the icy sea. Elizabeth somehow managed to climb onto the overturned boat. Suddenly, Charles called out to her from a nearby iceberg. To save Elizabeth, Charles jumped into the water. As Elizabeth was searching for Charles in the dark waves of the ocean, a zombie-like body suddenly emerged and pulled her into the sea. 110 years after the sinking of the original Titanic, a ship named Titanic III set off on its maiden voyage, following the exact same route as the old Titanic. A man who had arrived by car with his partner stood on the dock, looking out from his car window. He was very impressed by the ship and told his companion, "Hey, put the phone down and look at this for a second." As soon as the girl looked up and realized she was being recorded, she suddenly became excited and started praising Titanic III. It turned out they were both vloggers, and as soon as they got out of the car, their fans surrounded them. After taking some photos, they made an excited video for their followers and then boarded the ship. Next we see Captain Rose of the Titanic III, who was briefing her team about a soldier named Brian Andrews, who, along with his team, would be present at all times for the ship's security. Many antique items from the original Titanic were kept inside the ship, which necessitated this additional security. After this, we see a young woman emerging from a large bag. After getting out of the bag, she quietly began to wander through the lower parts of the ship. Soon, the mysterious girl came upstairs and stole a crew uniform from a room. Wearing the crew uniform, the mysterious girl went to the museum section of the ship, where a violin was kept inside a display case. As soon as the girl saw the violin, she picked it up. Just then, a man came in shouting and told her to put the violin down immediately. He said that it was the most priceless piece there, recovered from the old ship after being submerged in the sea for 100 years. And he didn't want some random girl messing it up for no reason. Julie intervened and tried to mediate, asking the girl to leave. Just then, the mysterious girl noticed a gold coin and a gold pin. She remarked that her grandmother had a pin just like it. She believed that the belongings of those who died on the Titanic should not have been recovered. In the old days, people buried the dead with their possessions, and those who desecrated their belongings would be cursed. The man was now fed up with this mysterious girl. He asked Julie who she was and why she was spouting such nonsense. Julie didn't know who she was either, but so many people worked on the ship that it was impossible to know everyone. So Julie quickly asked her to leave. While the man and Julie were talking, the girl secretly stole the hairpin and the coin. Meanwhile, the mysterious girl sat in the lower part of the ship and began to perform black magic. She took out a photo of the original Titanic's captain from her bag and called for all the spirits to rise. At this time, everyone in the ship's ballroom was dancing and having fun. Mia and Jackson were still making videos of different parts of the ship. Wandering around, they came to the lower part of the ship and saw the girl performing black magic. They couldn't understand what she was doing, but when she began her ritual in a rather sinister way, they got scared and started to leave. But just then, the door behind them flew open with a bang. Terrified, they both turned around, but it was just their fan, Nancy. She had found them by watching their live stream. Despite all the noise, the girl's concentration didn't waver. She remained completely focused on her black magic. Suddenly, with her power, the ship's walls began to shake, and the vlogger's camera turned off on its own. Seeing all this, Jackson said they needed to get out of there quickly. Mia and Nancy immediately left with him. Now, even in the captain's room, the lights began to flicker. Suddenly, the captain's video call with her fiancé was disconnected, and she realized the ship's connection to the outside world had been completely severed. Meanwhile, Mia, Nancy, and Jackson were in the ship's corridor. Nancy told them she had been following them for years. Just then, Jackson once again bumped into Hal, who again called him careless. Then he looked at Mia and smiled for no reason. Nancy said to Hal, "Do you even know who these people are? They have 12 million subscribers." She mentioned a blue diamond that would look great on Mia. Mia angrily told him, "You don't need to touch me." Then Jackson intervened and told Hal to leave. Meanwhile, the mysterious girl was still performing her black magic, and soon her spell was complete. It turns out that the captain of the previous ship was her great-grandfather, after which the spirit of Titanic's Captain Edward Smith, her great-great-grandfather, appeared before her. During this time, Mia and Jackson went to the deck to make a video. Suddenly, Mia heard the beautiful sound of a violin, and behind her stood a ghostly man holding one. He played the violin so beautifully that Mia and Jackson began to dance. But then, something strange started happening on the ship. The power on the entire Titanic 3 went out in an instant. Mia was still dancing mesmerized with Jackson. Suddenly, the beautiful melody turned into a piercing shriek that tore at everyone's ears. Mia clutched her head and screamed, "What is happening?" Jackson didn't know what to do. The violin-playing ghost was now very close to Mia. She covered her ears in panic, wondering why the noise wouldn't stop, and on the other side, the ghost dragged Jackson into the thick fog. As soon as the noise stopped, the captain's assistant ordered a full system check of the ship. Regaining her senses, Mia looked around for Jackson, but he was nowhere to be found. Soon, Hal came to meet her again and tried to calm her down. He also asked Mia to meet him at the bar a little later. Mia agreed, but then remembered her phone. As Mia was picking up her phone, Hal left. Now Mia decided she would tell people about the noise. Suddenly, the violin-playing ghost appeared in front of her again, and with the same terrifying sound, moved towards Mia and killed her. Soon some security guards found Mia's body, after which the ship's head of security went to meet Captain Rose in the ballroom. He took her to the control room, where the captain became pensive seeing everything behaving strangely. The captain told the crew to shut down the system and restart it. Just then, a panicked Brian arrived and asked the captain to come with him. They both went to the deck, where Mia's body lay. Rose asked where her husband Jackson was, and told Brian to check if Mia had been live streaming. Her phone might have a clue. A short while later, Hector arrived and told the guards to clear the area quickly. The captain picked up Mia's phone and told Hector to check who she last called. In the meantime, she would go to the control room and try to contact the Coast Guard. Meanwhile, an engineer was trying to fix all the malfunctions. Suddenly, he heard a strange noise. As he turned, he saw a strange ghost approaching him. Terrified, he tried to run, but it was no use. A ghost appeared in front of him and with its power blew a piece of pipe at his head, killing the engineer on the spot. Hector, Brian, and several guards were watching Mia's camera footage. When Rose came to them, they told her they hadn't found anything suspicious. Then they played the last video from Mia's phone. In the video, Jackson suddenly disappeared into the fog. Then they saw Hal approaching Mia. After he left, Mia picked up her phone, her face filled with terror, and she died immediately after. The captain guessed that Hal must have done something, so they needed to bring him in for questioning. At that time, Hal was talking to Julie in the ballroom. Rose and Brian approached him and asked him to come with them. They wanted to take him to a private room to talk. Soon the captain informed him that Mia was dead and her husband was missing, and Hal was the last person to see her alive. The CCTV camera showed Hal repeatedly arguing with Jackson. Hal said, "I admit I get angry sometimes, but that doesn't mean I go around killing people." During this, the mysterious girl once again used her power, and the ship's engine suddenly started on its own. As soon as the captain felt the ship moving, She immediately rushed to the control room. The captain went to the deck and saw that the ship was indeed moving. She tried to contact Parker on the radio, but it was useless as no signals were getting through. In the control room, the captain lashed out at everyone, asking who started the ship, to which her assistant replied that all controls were locked. They had rebooted the system as the captain instructed, but it was no use. Some other force was running the engines. The ship was now heading towards the same iceberg that the original Titanic had struck. Captain Rose told everyone to find the cause of this immediately. She wanted to reverse the ship as soon as possible. On the deck, Brian met her, and they both headed to the engine room. As they left, Julie and a woman named Mrs. Tross came onto the deck. When Mrs. Tross was alone, a woman told her, "That's a beautiful necklace you're wearing." Mrs. Tross said thank you, but as the woman turned, she revealed herself to be a ghost and strangled Mrs. Tross with the same necklace, as it had once belonged to the ghostly woman. These were the ghosts of the people who had died on the Titanic that day. Meanwhile, in the engine room, Captain Rose was trying to fix the malfunction when the engineer's dead body suddenly appeared in front of her. Panicked, she tried to contact Parker, but the radio was dead again. Is this woman crazy? Doesn't she understand all signals are jammed? How did she even become a captain? The frantic Rose knew they had to shut down the engine quickly, or it would explode, but the system was completely jammed. Nothing was working. Brian saw that the engine couldn't handle the pressure and was about to explode, so he told Rose they had to get out. Seeing that an explosion was imminent, Brian quickly picked up Rose and carried her out of the engine room. As the door closed, a massive explosion occurred, shaking the entire ship. Many people dancing in the ballroom fell from the jolt. People began to panic from the sudden explosion. Rose told everyone to stay calm, that the situation was under control. But in the control room, the entire crew was distressed. They had no idea what was happening. The ship was now heading straight for an iceberg. Meanwhile, Hector was inspecting the engine room, and a ghost was watching him. In the control room, Parker was still trying to contact any nearby ships. He explicitly said there was no need to panic, and that everyone should remain in their cabins for a while. Finally, they managed to contact the Coast Guard. The captain explained their problem and requested a tugboat, but they soon learned that the nearest ship was 2 hours away. Everyone on the ship was now quite desperate. In the room where Hal was locked, the ceiling suddenly started to leak. The lights began to flicker, and he suddenly heard terrifying noises. In panic, he covered his ears and started screaming, "Stop it! Stop this noise!" Suddenly, the noise stopped, and a ghost appeared before him with a thud. Terrified, Hal ran to a corner of the room and told the ghost to stay away from him. But the ghost used its power to bind his hands to the bed and breathed its cold breath on him. Suddenly, Nancy burst into the control room and met the captain. She said she had important information. When the captain agreed to meet her, Nancy explained that a ghost had killed Mia. To prove it, she showed the last video from the vlogger's phone. Rose, however, didn't believe in ghosts and flatly said, "There are no ghosts on our ship." She had Brian escort Nancy to her cabin. Nancy's cabin was next to the room where Hal was locked. As Brian entered the room, he saw Hal lying contorted on the floor. His mind was completely gone, and he was telling everyone to stay away. When Brian helped him up, Hal, having regained some consciousness, went to see the captain. He went to Captain Rose and told her that he had seen something very strange. He didn't know what it was, but it felt like he was close to death. Hal told the captain they needed to return to New York immediately, or the ghosts of the old Titanic would kill them. Just then, a guard came and said that their security head, Hector, was missing. The captain first told Brian to lock Hal back in the same room because he was talking nonsense, and then to go with the guard to find Hector. They left, but Rose was still trying to contact Hector on her radio. The guards were taking Hal to his room when they saw the mysterious girl. Hal immediately recognized her. He said that this girl must be behind all the trouble. She was the one spouting nonsense about how people were buried with gold. The girl denied it, saying, "Look, I didn't kill anyone, but I do know what's happening." She said she would tell them, but people weren't ready to hear the truth. The girl pointed at Hal and said, "It's all his fault. He went thousands of feet deep into the sea and stole things from the dead, and now they've all come back to reclaim their possessions. This ship is cursed, and no one on board will survive." Panicked, Hal asked if there was any way to stop all this, to which the girl replied that it was too late. Brian took the girl to a room and locked her in, but she kept shouting, "Everyone will die! Everyone will die!" A few moments later, the room's door opened by itself, and Captain Edward Smith appeared. Brian fired at him, but the bullets passed through the ghost's body and hit his own friend. Just then, the ship's power went out completely. The captain told everyone to turn on their phone flashlights and shine them on the controls. Rose suddenly saw someone near the wall and told everyone to point their flashlights towards it, but there was no one there. She thought it might be her imagination and told everyone to fix the system as soon as possible. After this, the ghost of Captain Edward Smith gave some of his power to his great-great-granddaughter. Brian was terrified seeing this, but could do nothing. Once her work was done, the girl turned and knocked Brian unconscious. Then she calmly walked out of the room. A panicked Hal returned to his cabin and decided he would throw everything he had taken from the sea back into it. To calm down, he went to the bathroom to wash his face, but then he suddenly saw Mia's ghost. Regaining consciousness, Brian saw that his partner was alive. He told him to stay put and went out to get help. But the guard didn't listen and followed him. As he entered the corridor, a ghost killed him. During this time, the girl reached the control room. She used her power to fling Parker aside. Rose tried to stop her, but as soon as she touched the girl, she saw the captain's ghost. After that, the girl pushed Rose away and steered Titanic 3 towards the same iceberg that had destroyed the first ship. The captain pleaded for her to stop, that everyone would die, and what would she gain from it? But the spirit inside the girl wouldn't let her think clearly. The crew tried to regain control of the ship but failed. In a last-ditch effort, Rose said to the girl, "If the ship collides, you will die too." But the girl smiled and said it didn't matter to her. A short while later, the ship collided with the iceberg at high speed. Julie was trying to calm the passengers and lead them to the assembly area. A panicked Rose tried to contact the outside world, but there was no response. Suddenly, Hal came in and said he knew what was happening. To stop everything, they needed to return all the items taken from the original Titanic back to the sea. But Rose was in no mood to listen to his nonsense and said, "If you want to help, then help get the passengers onto the lifeboats. Don't waste time with this nonsense." The Titanic 3 was now sinking rapidly. People were terrified, but even during this, Brian picked up an item from a haul, which had also been recovered from the Titanic. But he couldn't get far, as Mia's ghost appeared before him and shot him with his own gun. The ship was now more than half submerged. People were running around in fear. Water had reached the corridors, and chaos was everywhere. In the ballroom, Julia went looking for Brian, but he had already become a ghost and dropped a lifeboat on her. Hal gathered a lot of courage and continued to help people, but as they began to lower the lifeboats, all the ropes snapped, and just like with the original Titanic, everyone fell into the water. Rose, like a true captain, remained on Titanic 3 until the very end. Finally, the ship sank completely. A shivering Hal was lying in a lifeboat. Suddenly, he heard a voice, which was Captain Rose's. Hal helped her and pulled her into his boat. Lying on the boat, he suddenly burst into loud laughter. He laughed and said, "Can you believe it? I stole from the dead, and the dead killed everyone in front of me, but spared me." Rose tried to calm him down, saying, "You helped people. Forget all this now." But suddenly, Hal fell completely silent. As Rose turned to look at him, she realized he was dead. But a few moments later, He transformed into a ghost and killed Rose as well.
If you want interesting movie recaps, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.